scales above has the devil put aside for me, for me, for me.
Oh my God! You're no Freddie Mercury. Terrible. You're terrible. We want Freddie Mercury, not you. Terrible.
What is wrong with my singing? I thought I could hit the high. See, I can hit the high notes. I can hit the high notes. Yeah.
I'm puking in my ass right now. I just want you to. I'm puking in my ass. My ass puking. That has never been. That has. Oh my. Oh, we're on. I'm puking in my. I'm just saying. God awful.
Critics can never trust them. Speaking of not trusting critics and everything that goes along with a movie that has a lot of opinions to it, we are talking about Bohemian Rhapsody. And this one went through a lot of issues, man, getting to the screen. Sacha Baron Cohen was at first attached to it to play Freddie Mercury. He had disagreements with the band, things he wanted to do versus things they wanted to do. He was out. Certain directors came and went. A lot of creative issues. Finally, they got their stuff together. They had Rami Malek from, I think, Mr. Robot there,
right.
The show. And they were off and running. I mean, the trailers were good. I liked the trailers, but I was curious to see how they were actually going to make this whole story work. Where do you want to start with Bohemian Rhapsody, sir?
Well, let's start with the lead.
Rami Malek.
I am so happy with his performance.
Okay.
I am not disappointed. He had the moves. He moved like Freddie. He slightly talked like Freddie.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's him singing.
No, it is not.
Okay. But it's certainly a great performance.
Well, my thing is that the remaining band members of Queen were a little not sure about Sacha Baron Cohen because he was a comedic actor, and they felt that he might do more of a comedy shtick for Freddie than they wanted. But my argument to that is we've seen comedic actors do dramatic roles before, so it's not like it's...
Yeah, but this is not a comedy, though.
Well, it's not a comedy.
And also, I think Shasa wanted to do more of a, like, to explore his sexuality more.
Yes, he did.
And I disagree that Freddie is not just a gay guy.
Well,
he's a gay guy, but he's more than just that.
He is more than it.
His I've never seen him live.
No.
But I've seen on, like, videos.
Yeah.
He is electrifying. There's only a handful of people I have ever seen in my life that can match or be equal to Freddie. One is Prince.
Okay.
You got Freddie Mercury, Prince, Michael Jackson, Aretha Franklin.
Okay.
To some extent, B.B. King.
Sure. The B.B.
And God, there was one more. Maybe Mick Jagger.
Okay, sure. Okay, Mick Jagger.
And Freddie Mercury
is up there.
Lived on. He was. A lot of people are born to do something. Some people are just born to be almost like be part of the cog in the machine.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
I'm one of them. Freddie was born to be a performer.
Yeah, he was born to be this performer.
He was that guy.
Yes, he was. And, look, I agree with you. I think Rami Malek does a really great job with this role. I think he did a great job as Freddie. I think for me, there's moments in the movie where I feel like maybe he's not as... I don't know whether he gets the exact, physicality sometimes, or sometimes he does, and other times you feel like maybe he misses it a little bit.
Yeah.
The physicality to some degree, where I think somebody like Sacha Baron Cohen would have had that physicality a little bit more, and I think he would have nailed at least that part of it. For the most part, though, Rami Malek does a really fantastic job here. He plays vulnerable. He plays strong. He plays the sexuality up at times when it's needed. He does that. So it's not bad. It's not bad in that regard.
This film reminded me a lot like Purple Rain a little.
Which I'm really shocked that it's surprised that it reminds you of Purple Rain. Like,
and I love Purple Rain.
How though? How does it remind you of Purple Rain?
It's like the joke for me and a guy I used to work with. Purple Rain was more like a very long music video.
Okay.
I mean, performance for Purple Rain, not really on the performance. Mostly you're just hearing Prince and the Time.
Yes.
Kind of battle the bands.
Yeah.
This reminded me of Purple Rain in the context of there's a lot of music in this movie.
Yes, there's a shitload.
A lot of Queen stuff, and actually, it's all Queen stuff.
Well, yeah, it's all Queen,
and that's why I said it was like Purple Rain. I might be wrong on that, but that's how I feel about it, and I'm not. That's not an insult.
No.
For me, it's not me saying it's an insult.
I was kind of curious because I look at this film and Purple Rain and they seem like totally two different things. But when you put it like that way, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, and I think all the other actors do a really great job here. I think they all do. I think it's really well done. Everybody plays their part really well. The other people who played the band members for Queen, even Mike Myers,
who is unrecognized, cannot recognize him on that makes-up.
He played, I think, the EMI executive.
Yep.
Yes, which I was looking at the guy, and I was like, God, he looks familiar to me.
Oh, I knew he was Michael Myers, but I just couldn't recognize him.
I just
because I was looking for I know Michael Myers is in this. I'm like, there he is.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, he did really good job. Like I said, everybody does a really great job here, and I guess the real thing comes down to is this movie like, see, my thought about it is like, biopics are really tough to do, especially music biopics, because in my idea is I could just sit down and watch a documentary on the band. I don't necessarily have to sit here and watch a biopic.
But a good performance will actually bring that out.
This is true, but do you feel that you got your monies out of the Queen story more than you would have if you had watched a documentary?
I got my money's worth of this movie. I definitely.
But did you sit there saying, "Well, I could gain more information out of this than what a documentary of the band would have given me"?
Well, about the same. I mean, the only thing with documentaries at times, sometimes the person will hold back stuff.
Sure.
A lot of times, one bandmate will say another. This one, you're kind of like, it's kind of merged in all stories.
I guess, but my thing about it for me is almost like you almost think to yourself that this movie was kind of holding back a little bit too, to a certain degree.
Well, of course, it's going to hold back. It's going to hold back on Freddie Mercury's Cruising. Yes. It's going to hold back on a lot of the bands fighting with one another. There's a lot of conflict.
Sure.
It's going to hold back on, well, in fact, this is not in the movie. I hate to, but during, I think, the really early 80s, this is before Live Aid.
Okay.
Queen played Sun City in South Africa.
Okay.
During the whole apartheid thing.
Okay, sure.
They got a lot of from it. I mean,
Really?
a lot. Their fans hate, that's one thing that's not in the movie.
Okay.
They got a lot of flack for it.
All right.
That's that whole scene where they decide, like, where Freddie Mercury's, I'm gonna go on my solo. That's during that. I believe that's during that whole thing.
That's during the whole thing. Okay.
And it wasn't until when Freddie dumped that user boyfriend, whatever he had at the time. I don't know if that's a real story or not, but he realized that Queen is his family.
Yes. Roger,
him, and the gang, they're all family. They're different mothers, different fathers, but they're all family. And but there's that.
See, I mean that's something that could have been cool in the movie. Of course, it's not there, but like I said, and another thing with the movie I do want to stress is that yes, this is based on a true story, but again, not everything is completely black and white in this movie, meaning that we don't know exactly what the conversations were. We don't exactly know, all the stories are actually, some of the stories might have melded into one story and they put it out there into the film. That's why in some ways the documentary is a little bit better in that it might actually tell a little bit more of the truth.
Yeah, but also in a documentary, everyone's going to be very political in terms of they're not going to get rubbed too many elbows. This was kind of, I think, you know what, I'm going to say it's almost better because you're getting all the rumors / people who've been there, who knew Freddie, who knew the band, who knew everyone, who said, okay, what's the deal? And they kind of like, okay, here's the myth, and here's the truth. Well, maybe we can,
meld a little bit of it together.
Meld, but kind of weed things out.
Okay.
In a documentary, it's always going to be one person's opinion. Then they'll go to another person and their opinion, and you're like, well, what? This was kind of nice. They kind of just...
True, they did condense it, but I think that was another thing that got to me at times was the condensing, because you see a lot of times with the band, like they'll meet up with one another, and then they'll do a gig, and then a year later, they're on the road and they've sold out a lot of gigs, and then they'll cut those a few years later after that. And again, it's the same with the documentary. It's very spotty at times.
Okay.
It's very spotty, and it's not just this movie. There's a lot of biopics that are just that way. It's just
There's the one of Elton John coming up soon.
Yes, in fact, I did want.
It does say a true fantasy.
Yes, which is actually I like a lot, because that means that they're saying, look, there is going to be moments in here where...
You go, what? That really happened? No, it's a fantasy.
It's a fantasy. It's in the mind. That's one of the things I like. And in fact, the thing about this movie is that this movie is directed by Bryan Singer. However, Bryan Singer was actually kicked off of this movie.
Oh, I did not know.
Yes, he actually was kicked off because what happened is that apparently he would not show up on set to direct. He would just constantly take days off, go missing. Nobody could find him. He got into a fight with Rami Malek. There were so many issues that happened, and basically, in a nutshell,
it's almost like Freddie Mercury.
Almost like Freddie Mercury. Whoa, what?
Was he trying to channel his own Freddie?
Maybe.
His drug and feud Fury?
His drug,
Freddie?
Oh boy. And basically what happened was that basically Fox and everyone just kicked him off of the movie, and they got Dexter Fletcher, I believe his name is. And weirdly enough, this guy came in the last couple weeks of production. He finished it. He ended up also doing the post-production and everything like that. And weirdly enough, he is actually the same director that directed Rocket Man, the Elton John thing that's coming out next year. So it's very interesting and very weird that he ended up just getting the job.
That's the other thing that Brian. Well, okay, I guess when Brian shot more than half of the film, that's why he's credited.
Yes, he's credited, and that's why the Directors Guild is
That's why when you said, I'm like, wait a minute, what? Okay.
But in a certain way, I almost feel like this movie is sort of, in a weird way, it's got like a tonal shift at times. Like I can see stuff that was directed by Bryan Singer, and then I feel like you can tell that there were certain moments that weren't filmed by him, and you're kind of like, what was his complete vision for the film versus what this guy's vision would have been had he done the whole thing. It feels like a little bit of...
See, I didn't notice most of that.
I noticed a little bit of it, not a lot, but... and again, I will say there's some characters you don't feel for some characters like you should. Like, I think the female in there.
And doesn't she remind you of Taylor Swift? Because I swear to God,
wow.
I saw... look-wise, I'm like...
Oh, okay, sure, yeah.
Because I was like... I thought Taylor Swift was in this film.
Oh, you
I'm
thought
not joking. I thought,
wow. Oh, shit, okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
but
okay.
She looks like Taylor Swift.
Yeah, no, she does a great job, but you don't feel for her characters as much as you should, at least in my opinion.
Well, I think small screen time.
Screen time, but at the end when she's sort of crying there at Live Aid, there wasn't quite the impact for me that there should have been. And as far as the whole, because we got to put it out there, man, this is a musical biopic, but yes, it does have to show him making out with guys, and they have to sort of go down that route.
Shift your leg. Oh, you're all worked up about the whole gay thing. Saw you in the film. You were like, I saw you, man. And I was like,
What?
whoa, that's pretty.
That's not true, guys. That's not true. Don't listen to this.
I'm not against it. I'm just saying, man. If you need to say something,
there's nothing to say.
You're holding your crotch there.
I swear I'm gonna fucking kill him. Okay, I'm gonna really fucking kill you.
You come out when you want to.
Oh my god.
I'll be your cheerleader.
Oh my god.
I got pom poms and everything for you.
I'm gonna kill you.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna kill you. No, look, they did have to show it. Now, did you like how they went about it, or did you sort of think they could have shown more, or were you?
Well, I don't think they need to show more. I think again, it's that thing. Like, you don't want to make that the only thing. It's
no, but did they do enough to service that story? I guess.
Well, enough. I mean, there's a scene where you see Freddie going into what looks like a leather bar.
Yes.
And you just see him walk from one place to another. And there's a scene that maybe they edited something out of that. And I thought there was going to be something more, which was actually, I'm kind of glad, because it kept you guessing, like, okay, what was Freddie really into? It's better just maybe you think about it. Where he's going up the stairs and there's a guy leaving. Okay. And the guy looks at Freddie and Freddie looks at him. And
oh, yes, okay.
And he goes in and it just stops there. And I'm kind of glad it wasn't like maybe a scene from Wolf of Wall Street where it's like there's cocaine, necky guys around, they're putting coke on parts of their body and stuff like that. I'm kind of glad it wasn't like that, because let's face it, it's probably what happened anyway.
Well,
but it was kind of nice that is this him almost as like a warning, because that scene was shot in red.
Yes, it was. It was shot in red.
Which, I guess in some circles of photography, red means caution.
I could see it. Red.
So that's caution. Maybe where also he caught the HIV. Him going, because it wasn't from his first partner.
No, it was not.
It was him cruising.
How many times he did,
and that's where when it was all, that scene was all filmed in red, the red filter or whatever. I'm thinking, maybe. Was that them saying like this is the caution, where he? But
my thought about it is there's movies like Velvet Goldmine that is really fucking good, but I've
never seen or heard of that film.
It's got like Christian Bale in it and Ewan McGregor, and it's kind of like based on some true story about like the rock scene, I think back in like the 70s or something. And they don't shy away from stuff. They show two men,
going at it.
They don't shy away. And I mean, you have that, and then you have something that's a little more tamer like this. Where's the balancing act? Well, the balancing act is somewhere. I think they did a good job with it. Do I think they could have went a little bit further? Maybe they could have went a little bit further, maybe went a little bit more into the more controversial aspects, but they went there enough where I was satisfied.
I didn't need to see everything. I mean, this isn't a exploitation film.
No, it's not an exploitation film.
And I was very happy with it. Maybe because I'm also a Queen fan.
True.
So it's, I'm hearing the music on, and
you just didn't care about the whole controversial stuff. You could have cared less.
No. If it was just, matter of fact, if they didn't even show even the fighting, it was just them making the music and just having this dialogue back and forth. And this is the one thing when I say he's not just a gay guy. There are interviews of him where he is as witty with a razor sharp tongue going after, or not going after, but talking to the interviewer, and he is a charming razor sharp wit guy. So that's why I'm kind of glad it didn't go down that way. It was more of, it hinted on it. It very much hinted on it, but it didn't you didn't go that far.
Yeah, I was glad to. So I guess my other question to you really comes down to, do you think this movie is a fluff piece? Like, because...
Yeah, there's a bit of a fluff piece here. Because I know the band was kind of adamant about a certain way they wanted Queen to be portrayed.
Yes.
So, yeah, I guess you could call this a bit of a fluff. Yeah, a little bit.
Because I've seen a lot of biopics, and I mean, there's a crap ton of them, that basically they're fighting or they're arguing about something.
Then they make up, and then they argue and get back. There's this whole back and forth until the end.
And then there's a little piece of like a thing where they're like fighting, and suddenly somebody's like, and they're like, oh, is this how the song was created? And you're like, it's a little bit of a fluff of it.
It is. I'll guarantee but it's probably crazy enough to be true.
Okay.
Oddly enough, I bet you some of that is crazy to be true.
Some of it might be true, and in that way, but I think some of it is kind of fluffed a little bit as well. I mean, for me, I will say this much. I think everything builds towards the Live Aid thing, and the Live Aid portion is absolutely electric. I think if you have problems with bits and pieces of the other parts of the film, that's fine. But once you get to Live Aid, it's like everything,
boom.
Everything comes together, and it works, and it really does work really well. And you know, again, like, is fans of Queen going to be upset by this film?
Maybe hardcore super duper. Like, you didn't mention that. How come they didn't mention this? I'm not a hardcore fan that I know everything behind the scenes. I just know the songs.
Yeah.
But I don't see fans shouldn't be upset about this.
I don't think they should be upset about it. I've seen better musical biopics, but I've seen ones that are far worse. So I mean, it's threading a line. I think it pays a good homage to Freddie Mercury. I think they had to choose whether they were going to include a lot of controversy in there or minimize it. I think they minimized it, I think, to the benefit of the film. It's not bad. I mean, it's pretty decent overall of a movie. I certainly had a good time. What are your final thoughts and grade rating on Bohemian Rhapsody, sir?
I loved it. I thought it was great.
Okay.
And I would give this a rating. I'll go with a B+.
Wow. Okay, you're going really high. Is it just it's basically the performances, right?
Performance and also a Queen fan, so I can't. I really enjoyed this film.
Let me ask you this: was there any way that they could have screwed this up where it would have been really bad for you?
If it was, wow. Well, they could have ninjas from outer space. They could have screwed that up. No, I think if they just made it more of a goof, more like, hey, here's Freddie Mercury's drug-fueled
sex adventures,
orgies. That I'm like, well, okay, this is not just Queen. This is not Queen. This is just a poor. This is a man who's going into a downward spiral of destruction.
And you think that Sacha Baron Cohen would have made it that way?
I don't say it would, but it might have maybe go toward that.
Okay.
But yeah, I give this B+.
Okay.
Definitely, if you're a Queen fan, I think this be a good film for you.
I mean, I will say this, man. The songs are infectious. I am definitely a Queen fan. I love the songs. The first time I ever heard Queen, I was watching when I was a kid, Revenge of the Nerds. And at
the very end.
Woo! The very end, baby. And We Are the Champions. I heard that song and I was like, my God, man, I love this song. Even when I was a kid, I'm like, I loved it. And I was like, oh my God, who is this band? And I just had to find them out. That sort of propelled me to finding out more about them. And it's, to me, the story of Queen is very fascinating. I think the movie delves a certain amount, enough into it.
Yeah.
Maybe not enough for some people, but it does it enough where they didn't I don't think they shied away from it.
No.
And again, you're still getting the great songs, you're still getting the chemistry with the band and the homages to Freddie, and it is not bad. Again, it could have been a little bit better. They could have added a little bit more controversy and spice to the movie, just a tiny bit more. The movie's a little convenient at times, but Rami Malek does a really great job as Freddie, and he should be really proud of his performance. I'm gonna give it a low B minus.
Okay.
A low B minus. That's what I'm gonna give it again. I've seen better, but this is definitely worth it to check out. I think absolutely for sure, especially if you're a Queen fan. And somebody to love.
There's another
What?
puking in my ass.
What the?
Good.
What is your problem?
I have to go change. I have to end this. I have to go change.
Oh my God.
I have to change.
She the killer queen. Oh God.
Well, it's your car. Actually, I don't. You should be smelling it soon.
Oh God. Okay, guys, we're gonna end this before he has to. Oh God. Oh. Guys, I hope you.
I'm not sorry. It's your fault.
I hope you enjoyed the review. Oh God. I hope you enjoyed the review. If you did, definitely give it a thumbs up, and we'll be back next time for another movie review. Oh God, you were really kidding. Okay. Bye, guys. Oh, bye.